Hey everyone, Brooks Van Norman here, and today I've got Tracy Ragan, CEO and founder of DeployHub, and Tracy's got an awesome story working in the microservices space. So Tracy, welcome. Thanks for joining me today.
Thank you for having me. It's my pleasure.
Awesome. So let's get a little background on you. Could you briefly describe your business, who you help, how long you've been doing it, and the unique value that you and DeployHub bring to your market?
Sure. So I'm sort of a rock star in this what we call the software configuration management business, and that has to do with how we assemble software from getting it created into what's called a binary format and pushing it all the way out to a production environment. And there's a lot of steps that go into that process, but the software configuration management process sort of sits on it's kind of like the best way to describe it to a layman is think about putting a puzzle together. You buy a box, it's got the picture on the top of it, and you lose the top of the box, and you have all these little pieces. How do you figure out what you're actually creating? And all those little pieces are all the pieces of the software assembly. What we do in software configuration management is make sure that the top of the box of the puzzle is always available.
Got it. That's a great analogy. I haven't heard that one before. All right, awesome. Thank you. So let's start from the beginning before we got working together. What were you doing to create business before we got engaged? Like, what was the job you were trying to do for customer acquisition, or like what were you trying, and what were some of your frustrations?
So in most software, enterprise software companies, we go after what's called the enterprise market, which requires an enterprise salesperson. And I've had companies, I have a company that is based on that kind of a model. It's a very, very difficult model. It's expensive, it's hard. Then there's another model that's oftentimes referred to as velocity selling, whereby you create and SaaS models allow us to do this. You create a SaaS offering, and people can automatically sign up and then upgrade to a commercial version. So you have a free version, that's kind of the freemium, and then you have a low-cost upgrade, and then from there you can expand into that enterprise deal. So that's what we continue to work on to build. And what we were struggling with was having a conversation. Just having a conversation with people. I don't care what level they are in the software business. I wanted to have a conversation. And that's what we were struggling with, was having a conversation.
Okay. Okay. And what were you doing at the time, like before we started working together, in terms of your activities or your strategy to have those conversations?
Really very traditional. We would do webinars. We'd pay for webinars. We'd get lists of people's names, and then we would put them through a standard email cadence, maybe a 7 touch point email cadence for those people who came to our webinars. We may do a trade show, scan badges, just those traditional ways of getting emails, and then trying to have conversations through email.
Yeah. Yeah. Got it. Okay. So now that we've been working together for a while, what kind of results have you achieved? And like, how have areas of the business improved? And if you can share any metrics, by how much?
So before we started working together, we were running these email campaigns. And as I said, we were not having a conversation. And what we kept thinking is we need to have somebody do cold calling.
Mm.
And cold calling doesn't really work in our industry. Software developers are not someone who's going to pick up the phone and chat with anybody technically. So that was another, I want to bring that up because that was another issue we were having. We realized that cold calling was not what it should be. It's not what it was or what it used to be. It's just not. People don't want to talk that way. They just don't want to have that conversation. So what was the question you just asked me?
So what were some of the areas of the business that improved, and like
that did. So we went from having literally, I would get really excited if we had two discovery calls in a single week.
Okay.
If we did 8 a month, I would be like, woo, woo, we did 8 this month. That's awesome.
Yeah.
We went from getting excited about doing 8 a month to me doing 5 to 8 a day.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
So I don't know what that is, you know, how I don't know what the percentage growth is, but it it astounded me. It astounded me when I started getting having that conversation, and I was having that conversation, you know, through LinkedIn with people that I would love to have met at a trade show, and you know, and dropped, you know, $15,000 to be at the trade show, and spent money traveling and sitting there at a booth, begging to scan somebody. So
Right.
even a trade show doesn't create the kinds of conversation that I have had. Um, that you've delivered to me through your portal, through your platform.
Yeah.
I've never had any kinds of this level of where I say, hey, I'm working on this particular kind of project, and somebody says, yeah, I'll talk to you. I'm astounded by it.
Why do you think that this is happening? Like, what would you think is the reason that you're having this level of success with my system?
Well, first of all, I'll give myself credit.
Yeah.
I spent quite a bit of time understanding that I needed to brand myself.
Mhm.
And because I thought that would help get the conversations. So I worked on branding not just the company. As you see, I got a sign back here. I brand everywhere I can. But I branded me. And I wanted people to get to know me. So I got on some open source boards. I am pretty active in the community. I started doing a lot of writing blogs, pushing that out into social media, and I started to get recognition from my peers. Now, what I didn't understand, and what you helped me with, is creating a profile on LinkedIn that reflected the work that I had done in my branding.
Mm.
So that um, that helped tremendously. And I think that's one of the reasons why this process has worked so well. So I did do a lot of the work up front. I had that profile that you were able to really expand on. So
Yeah.
you were able to say, you're not selling yourself on your profile on LinkedIn. Let's do a better job of that, because I didn't realize how often people would look at that profile.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, we've talked about this, is that the LinkedIn profile is no longer a historical entry of the employment activities you've had up until this point. It's that paradigm shift we talked about, that your LinkedIn profile is now a landing page in the truest sense.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And when you kind of brought that to my attention, I was like, oh, oh, of course, that
Yeah.
makes sense. It's my private web page. My LinkedIn
Exactly.
profile is my private web page.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So speaking of web page and web traffic, and like the results, not just of the calls and the pipeline and the opportunity that you're creating for DeployHub, but what have been some of the other impacts that you have seen in the business in terms of maybe things that you expected or you didn't expect to happen?
The funnel.
Yeah.
So now we are, you know, instead of having a funnel that we had, you know, we had 8 calls a month and 1 went into the funnel, which is not a bad average, right? You know,
Right.
you've discovery calls, you never know. I
Yeah.
was speaking to somebody today about discovery calls, and they said, they created a great analogy. They said, sometimes when you talk to somebody, you're talking from the neck up, meaning that this is something that they're imagining, or this is theoretical, and they may understand it to use something in the future.
Yeah.
The other ones are from the neck down, sort of the gut impact. And what I learned through all of these calls that I have done is how to stay out of the neck up
Yeah.
and find the gut impact.
Ooh, I love that. I
Yeah.
love.
And
So you're.
it took me a while. It took me some calls, but I would have never had that much experience in short sprints of time. I mean, literally, I was able to pivot with having that many calls to do in a day. I was able to pivot every single day, to the point where I got to, now I can get them to now I get them, I get them to a demo almost immediately. I'm like, can we do a demo? And they're like, okay, let's do that. Where do you have time on your calendar?
Yeah, and that is such a beautiful thing for anybody listening to this to embrace. And that is that what you're really saying is you now know your market so intimately because of the volume of calls you've had,
Yes.
that you probably know your market better than all of your competitors just because you've had so many of these conversations. But when people use sentences like know your market or know your buyer persona, what you really just said is, you know the deep needs of your market and the pains they really struggle with, and you can get to that immediately, and that creates trust and credibility that moves the sale faster through the funnel.
Now, I've
Right?
always known that this is the way. I mean, I actually participated in an accelerator program. I was a mentor and watched how my mentee was directed to get to do a lot of discovery calls to really adjust and try to pivot, but I never had the opportunity to do it for myself,
Yeah.
because I wasn't having those really critical conversations with a broad background from, people in testing, people from an SRE standpoint, from a developer standpoint, from a cloud architect standpoint. So
Yeah.
being able to have all of these different conversations, I could see the problem from many different directions, and I was able to start pivoting and hitting that gut instead of, having this neck up conversation.
I love that. I love that. Neck up and neck down. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
That really is beautiful. I mean, that is the essence of selling, is to be able to connect with another human being, help them create trust, and then solve that problem for them in a way that everybody wins. So I really do truly love that. So let's go back to the sort of the beginning of pre-working together. How did you hear about me, and what was it that really piqued your interest?
Because you did exactly what I wanted to be doing. You did. You did exactly what I wanted to be doing. I was like, okay. I went through the whole process. Like you came across on my LinkedIn. I looked at your profile and I looked to see what you were doing. It was like, I want to be doing what you are doing. So how did you do that? And that's why I called you, because I wanted to know how you just found me, knowing that I mean, that's exactly what I wanted. What you did was precisely what I wanted to be able to do.
And
So
it's
that's
a
how it happened.
Awesome. I love that. You use the word process, which is exactly what it is. It's the messaging, it's the positioning, it's the timing, it's the channel, right? No cold, I didn't cold call you,
No,
right?
you did not cold call me.
No.
You did not. Even so, if you had, I may, because I was looking for a way to start conversations, but I loved the way that it came through in a non-invasive way into my LinkedIn chat. I saw it come through. I read it, and I was like, exactly what he's doing is what I need to be able to do if I want to have more than 8 conversations a month. And so that's why I reached out.
Ah,
Precisely why I reached out.
I love it. I love it. So can you describe what it's been like working together? I think it would be really helpful for people to hear.
Well, you've been great. The setup process, you held my hand so well. Like I said earlier, when you explained how my LinkedIn profile needed to look more like a website than a resume, that was enlightening. And your wordsmithing and being able to show me exactly what I needed was, because I have worked on it. I just didn't know how to work on it.
Yeah.
And your ability to hone that in on your own was pretty amazing. We're in a very technical space, and I thought you did a really good job of figuring out how to position that technical space, even though I know you're not into Kubernetes and microservices. So kudos to you. And
Thank
you've
you.
just been totally kind and super supportive through the whole process. And I have really appreciated, honest to God, from my heart, I have totally appreciated the effort that you've put in to help me get to where I'm at.
Thank you.
It's really made an amazing difference.
Thank you. That's great. Well, as we've talked offline, we're really just getting started with scaling your business. I mean,
I cannot wait to see what you have in your bag of tricks.
we've got some more. We definitely have some more. The foundation is laid, that's for sure. So for anybody who's listening to this, that's struggling to get calls, that knows they have an offer that the market needs, why should somebody in that position take action now and not wait?
If you're, we're, as a small startup, um, my goal has always been to shift myself into a selling role as opposed to a managing role. because I know as the CEO, I need to be selling. I did not know how to do that.
Yeah.
It was much easier for me to go. I'm really great at marketing. I'm super good at biz dev. I'm really good at product development and product product marketing and product management. So it's super easy to fall back into the things that you're comfortable with. Your process and your platform makes it easy for somebody to shift from where it's comfortable to where it's not so comfortable, and to learn that. So the sooner you do that, the better off you're going to be in the long run, because you, as a CEO as a small company that didn't know how to sell, I needed this platform to help me get into that rhythm of talking to people. And now all I want to do is look at LinkedIn all the time. That's all I want to do, is talk to people. I don't want to do any of the other things. So start that sooner than later. The other stuff will come.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And have you had success with other channels through working together as well? Has there been anything outside of the social platforms?
You mean
Like through email or anything like that we've worked on?
Yes. So as your email, when you send out an email,
yeah.
What I have discovered is that I begin having a conversation with this person who's, hiding behind their email, but they're more willing to have more of a discourse. So like this morning, I don't know why this morning it happened, but I had 4 different emails that they wanted more detailed information. They didn't want to talk to me. And I don't think even 2 of them, I don't even think accepted me on LinkedIn. But now just today, I've had 2 or 3 conversations with them, and I'm trying to find time on our calendars to get a demo in. Yeah. So it's been a different experience from if I was to have sent out an email in a regular cadence, like sending out a regular, try to get them to come to my website or download a white paper, and then me follow up from that. Just a simple, hey, how's it going? This is what I do. Would you like to talk? That email, it for some reason works better. I don't know why. I can't tell you why, because I didn't create the magic, you did. But all I can tell you is that those email conversations are their conversations. I'm not having a monologue. I'm having a dialogue. That's the difference.
Oh, I love that. A dialogue, not a monologue. Awesome. Well, Tracy, this has been terrific. I really appreciate you making the time to chat with me today and participate in this interview. If anybody wants to learn more about you and what you're doing with DeployHub, where are some of the places that people can find you?
DeployHub.com. You can find me there. I'm on Twitter at Tracy Ragan. No E's in the first or last name.
Okay, great. Awesome. Tracy, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Bye.
Bye.